This is part 2 of navigating family triggers over Christmas and how you can stay grounded and have a regulated nervous system through these challenging times. In part 1, I talked about why family systems or family over Christmas can activate our nervous system and why we regress to childhood and our old patterns in these family dynamics. In this part, I will talk about nervous system regulation and why this is the foundation of you being able to navigate family systems and family dynamics with more ease. I'm Naomi Galinsky and welcome to this channel. I'm a somatic experiencing practitioner and therapist. I help high-functioning women reconnect with their bodies so that they can experience physical and emotional well-beings. But this channel is for anyone who wants to understand their human experience through the lens of nervous system, trauma, inner child work, and transgenerational patterns. If you haven't watched video 1, I recommend you to pause this video and go back because that sets the foundation for this understanding of why we need to do this nervous system work, inner child work, and transgenerational pattern healing. I'm here, as I mentioned in video 1, in my dad's place. I'm spending Christmas with him. And just as a recap, I get along with him great. I have a great time with him. And that hasn't always been the case. He was emotionally and physically absent throughout my childhood. And I hated, I know this is a strong word, but I hated spending time with him in my 20s. And I think there was a period of 5 years where I didn't talk to him. So it was a journey of over a decade of healing my inner child wounds, doing the family systems and generational pattern healing to get to a place where I get along with him and even enjoy spending time with him. Why is this nervous system regulation piece and healing trauma piece so important? Why is this foundational? It's foundational because if our nervous system is not regulated, if we don't have internal safety, then our boundaries, our communication, our mindset work will not be as effective as we want it to be. Our words and our actions need to be congruent with our nervous system state. A quick example of this is, for example, you have experienced, I'm pretty sure, that when someone says, I'm sorry, but you know they don't mean it. But you can't really explain why, but you can just feel it. I can give you an example now. If my nervous system is not aligned with I'm sorry, then it's like, I'm sorry. And just track what happens when I say it with my nervous system state really wanting repair and meaning it. I'm sorry. Notice the difference? Yeah. What does nervous system regulation mean? In a nutshell, it requires us to have capacity to feel the discomfort of the emotions that we don't want to feel. It requires us to feel the pain, the sadness, the frustration, the anger, the annoyance, all of it that our family triggers. And it requires us to understand how our nervous system, how our body reacts to a trigger. So do we get angry? Is our go-to shouting and fighting, picking fights? Is our go-to, so that's the fight response. Or is your go-to the flight response, where we want to run away, we leave the house and go for a walk? Or is your response the freeze response, where we just shut down and sit quietly while anxiety and emotions are starting to boil up in our system? And then it also requires us to understand what the sensations of that is behind that. and learn to be able to be with our body, be with what arises without suppressing it. So this piece takes work. I'll give you some actionable steps that you can do without having done all of the nervous system piece. But if you do want support with this, then check out the links in my description of this video to see how you can continue working with me. But sometimes what that means is you want to do practices that calm your system. But for other nervous system, that calming piece doesn't work until you feel the activation. So you might have to feel that boiling of that rage, but not with your family, with someone who is unrelated to that, like a therapist or a good friend that is not related to your family, to help you process that. And then once you feel the activation, then the body can switch into that deactivation, settling, and integration mode. And then the calmness appears. And there are many different tools and practices. And I can't give you, in somatic experiencing, I can't give you, let's say, this practice works for anger, this practice works for sadness, this practice works for feeling irritated. It doesn't work that way. Our nervous system is also constantly changing. So you have to learn the language of your nervous system. You have to get to know it, and you have to figure out what works for you. And that's where personal sessions come in really handy, because we get to explore what that looks like for you. And why we want to do the nervous system regulation work is because when we get triggered, our old traumas, our old childhood wounds, you can call it developmental wounds, attachment wounds, developmental trauma, all of that, the same thing, or transgenerational trauma, they get activated and put us in a state of dysregulation. And that means there's lack of safety in our body. And that's why we are so agitated and want to get rid of this feeling. And our protectors come in and do what worked as a child to protect ourselves from emotional and physically unsafe, back then unsafe situations. Except that we're adults now, we're not unsafe anymore, but we're still responding in the same way. When we do the inner child work, it's not about making our parents apologize or our parents show up for us like we needed them to, but instead it's about us becoming the parent that we needed to have back then. So we become the parent of our own inner child. And when we do the trauma work, which is also part of the inner child healing, we complete the survival responses that are stuck in our body. And when we do that, more safety in our body is restored, and then we become less triggered by our family dynamics. And when we are less triggered, then we have more options. We have the ability to pause and think about, what do I need to do to take care of myself now? Which will be part of the third video of setting boundaries, communicating, and changing your own behavior around your family. But here are some actionable steps that you can do now, even without having done the trauma work, the inner child work, and regulating your nervous system, but actionable steps that will help you towards that before you go to your family over Christmas. So preparation is important. What can you do for yourself when the triggers start arising? The earlier you can catch it, the better. But in reality, for most of us, we find ourselves in the situation once we're already in that automated reaction pattern. Prepare ways in which you can take breaks from your family. Does that mean you only schedule 1 or 2 hours with them and then leave? Do you have a room that you can go to and close the door and get a bit of alone time? Can you plan to go out for walks? Walks are great because you're out and walking, you're helping the the energy of those emotions move through by actually moving your body, and you're getting a bit of alone time from them? Is there a friend that you call? Or do you have a therapist that can be there for emergency situations where maybe you're so triggered and you don't know how to come down, and you can call your therapist for a half-hour session? Plan, make a nervous system emergency plan for yourself. In summary, I talked about nervous system work and why this is the foundational step that you need to do before you start working on your boundaries, on your communication, and changing your patterns around your family system. So that means building capacity to be with intense and uncomfortable emotions in your body, doing the trauma work, doing the inner child work to find more internal safety, and learning to become the parent of your inner child, and creating an emergency plan for a nervous system regulation emergency plan, so that you have a way to take a break, or you know what to do when you start getting activated. In part 3, I'll talk about how you can take care of yourself through embodied boundaries, communication, and behavior changes, even when your family doesn't change. If this resonated with you, then please like this video or hit subscribe to my channel. It really helps. And if you feel called to work with me, or you're curious, then check out the links and resources in my description. See you in part 3.